Hello everyone, it's Karen Burniston, and I'm here doing something that I don't normally do, which is just a super quick assembly of the twist flower pop-up die set. I am actually going out of town for a trade show, and I'm going to be gone for a week, and I have not had time to get the official assembly videos up for the new release. So this will be a placeholder, so it's just going to kind of quickly show you how to use the mechanism. It won't be a fully decorated card, and then when I get back, I'll put up a more formal assembly video the way you're used to seeing them. But if for anybody that bought this die already and is just kind of itching to use it and needed a video, at least I'm going to show you how to put it together. Okay, so the twist flower mechanism is a shrunken down version of the one that's in our snowman twist circle, which is a little bit bigger die set. Now that one, the snowman twist circle, is a cut-in design, which means whatever you're going to put in the inside of your card, you actually put the die over the top of it and you cut the base part of the mechanism in, and then there's a separate die that does the up and over. This one's shrunken down quite a bit so that it will actually fit in a slimline card, which is only 3.5 inches wide. So this is a smaller version of that mechanism. And because it is so much smaller, the arms are just attached to the base. So and it glues in instead of cuts in. Okay, so what you do is you cut however many of these you want. So I'm going to do a slimline, which is 3.5 by 8.5. And I'm going to put 3 mechanisms inside that. And this is the mechanism. So for the purposes of the video, let me draw in the score lines that the die has made. Okay, and when you're looking at it on the side where you can see the score lines the easiest, so that's the side that the die pressed down. And you can always tell that because the edges are pretty and rounded. It doesn't have any scratches usually from your cutting pads, whereas the back it probably does. So this is the prettier side of it. When that is up, then when you assemble this, that's going to be your flower that twists down so that it's lying on its back on the right side of the card. So that's probably the way that you're using it the most often, especially if you wanted to do a window card where you could see something through the window that was attached to the pop-up and then have the pop-up pop up. So it's most of the time you're probably going to be using it in that twist down lay on the right side. But what's cool about this die is that you can just reverse the folds and then it'll twist the opposite way. So you can see my center flower here is not laying on its back on the right side of the card. It's facing down on the right side of the card, which means it's laying on its back on the left side of the card. So you can reverse the folds and have them twist whichever way you want. But by folding it the way you can see the lines the easiest, it will twist so that it's laying down on the right side. Okay, so I've got my folds in it. So the diagonal folds are valley folds, which means I'm folding towards myself. So I fold towards myself on the diagonal, unfold, turn to the other diagonal, fold towards myself, unfold. Then this one up the middle is a mountain fold, which means you fold away from yourself, okay? And then it's going to essentially just be ready to go. I mean, that's the combination of the X valleys and then the mountains up the middle. That kind of makes it. It's really easy. Then you've got a fold right here for one part, half of the arm to come up. Then you've got a fold here for the other half of the arm to come up. And then you've got a little tapered tab on the end that connects those two together. Now, you could connect them together if you wanted to and build your whole thing on it or whatever, and then twist it down and figure out what size card you need. But if you know that you're doing a specific card size, then don't connect those yet, because you can use that hole that's in the base to help you line it up inside the card. Okay, so since I'm going to put 3 in a slimline card, I'm going to go ahead and do some measuring here. I'll tell you what those measurements are. If you go 1.75 inches from the bottom edge, but only 1 inch from the top edge, and then the one in the middle is 4.5 inches from the bottom. Okay, so there's my 3 locations. And the reason, I have them kind of skewed this way a little bit is so that I have room for that front flower to stay in the card, because it comes forward from the mechanism quite a bit, whereas the back one, only comes a little bit further from the mechanism. Okay, so when you're staggering them 3, you may be thinking like, oh, I put this one in the direct middle of the card, and then this, these measure equal distance from each thing, but actually you really don't want to. You want to skew this one up a little bit further. So 1.75 inches, I'll write it on here since this is just to go by. This one's 4.5 inches. This is 1 inch from this way. Okay, 1.75. All right, so now to add this is the one that's twisting to the right. So I'm going to either use that up here or up here, whichever way I want to start. There's no up or down to it. It's the same both ways. The only difference is which side the tapered tab is on. So if you have some kind of preference, you could put it whichever way you think, you know, you like the best. But what you're going to do to get this inside the card is you're just going to temporarily reverse your mountain fold up the middle. Okay. And then on the back, well, before we do that, let's on the back, it's the areas that are not under the mountain fold. It's all these flat areas, these two sides, that are going to get the adhesive. Okay, nothing underneath the mountains. But you can reverse those mountain folds to make it easy to set it in the card and get really good alignment. Okay, so I'm going to put my adhesive all over those panels I drew on, stopping when I get to the fold because I don't want anything under where the mountains are going to be. Okay, then I can just go in there till I see my pencil line through the hole. Okay, I'm taking my fingers and I'm just lining that mountain fold that I've temporarily reversed. I'm, pushing it so that it's right up butted into the fold of the card while I glue down these two halves. All right. Okay, then since I've flattened this and reversed it, I want to get my fingers underneath it and make sure they come back up as mountains again before I close it. Okay. And then what's going to make it start working as a platform is going to be attaching the tapered tab to the other side. And you can just line up the tapered tab with the other side and, All right, there it is. So there's our first of our three mechanisms. Okay, let's talk about the middle one because that one we're going to reverse. So since you can see the folds the easiest on the front, I usually say just go ahead and fold your valley, valley, mountain like you're used to. Okay, then just flip it over and then reverse them. So it's going to be valley, valley, mountain on the back too, but so valley, valley, mountain. All right, so now that's been reversed. Okay, so when we do it for the right side, laying down on the right side of the card, I guess I should say, valley, 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 mountain, then the arms basically travel from upper left to lower right. See, it's attached to the upper left and the lower right. But when you reverse it, your arm's attached to the upper right to lower left. Okay, so that's how you can tell if it's been reversed. Let me work those folds for the arms there. All right, so this one's my center one that's twisting the other direction. Okay, so I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put the glue all over the flat areas. I'm using my Line Co. neutral pH adhesive in my fine tip bottle. Love those. All right, I'm going to reverse that mountain fold up the middle so that I can get it seated right down into the fold of the card. I like to bring the card up a little bit, to where I can just really take my thumbnail and make sure that mountain fold is just going right up the fold of the card. Oops. Glue does slide. Okay, then since I reversed the fold, I need to get underneath it and make sure that it remembers that it's supposed to be a mountain fold. And it's going to start twisting. And then I just need to connect the tapered tab to the other side. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm going fast here. There we go. Okay, so now we have two. And then we just need to get the third one in. That's the same as the first one. Twisting to the right. But you can have them all twist in the same direction if you want to. You can decide. And you don't have to put more than one in the card either. You completely can decide how you want to construct your card. Okay. And if you go up, a slim line is either 3.5 by 8.5, which is what I'm doing here. But if you go up to a 4 by 9 slim line, it still fits in a number 10 business envelope for mailing, but you have a little bit more room. So it's a little easier on you when you're getting your flowers placed and your leaves and all that stuff, that you have just a little bit more room. If you go up to a 4 by 9. Okay. And then let's get that tapered tab attached to the other side. I think you see here the tapered tab ended up being the one coming from the bottom, and on the one below it was the one so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which side the tapered tab is attached to. All right, there's our triple mechanism. Now you see how generic that is. You could put anything on those mechanisms and have it pop up. But what the die set comes with is this nice big flower. Okay, so you get the flower itself. It's got a nice little stitch line around it. And then you get this cool leaf that has these kind of deep veins all the way through it. And then you get these pieces that you can combine in different ways to make like the centers of the flowers. Oh, and you get a heart too. So here, I'm going to show you. There's the heart. Okay, so what you could do, this one cuts this little stitched ring, and then of course a circle falls out of the middle. All right. This one cuts a solid circle, so you can, and that's the same exact size as that ring. So you can do a solid circle in the ring like I did here with this one, and then fill it with, say, the heart or a photograph or whatever you wanted to do. Okay. Or you can take this die, which cuts all these circles, 12 circles, I think, at one time, and you can nest it inside of this one and cut them at the same time, and then you'll have a circle with all of those holes cut out of it. And so then that gives you that kind of cool look for the center. Now, those positive space circles also are used to add centers to the daisy chain that comes in the set, as well as the 3 little small daisies. So there's 9 flowers on this border, and then there's 3 individual little tiny daisies. And you can use this die to cut all 12 flower centers at once if you want to use that, instead of, like, you know, either drawing on it, because it also has a stencil feature. So if you're in a hurry, you could just take a pen and add the centers with a pen. But if you want to add physical centers, you've got the die to do that, or of course you could use rhinestones or whatever. All right, so one thing if you like the look, you can use the circle that came out of the center of that behind those circles to kind of change it, or you could have the original flower color shine through, whatever. You know what, let's do the original flower colors. It's better contrast. I'm not going to decorate all these flowers, but just kind of showing you what the pieces are in the set. All right, so that's on there. And then this around the perimeter. Okay, so you get the idea. Or you can use this one in the center. It's a little bit smaller center if you wanted to. So anyway, lots of ways you can combine the pieces. And of course you can use those flowers on their own as well. Nice big flower. All right, so then when you go to add your flowers on your mechanism, you want to keep it in the card. So what you can do is you can kind of close it and peel back if you want to. Let's see. Here's where this is the face that holds the pop-up item, which is not to say you can't decorate the back side too. You can see I did right there with a leaf on that one. Okay, so you can put stuff on there too if you want to, but the viewing angle, you know, is from here. So I put my glue on the front there, and then I'm going to kind of close this down a little bit and find a spot where it stays in the card, but I want it as high as I can get it, meaning as close to the edge as I can get it, because, let me show you here if I can show you. See, you want to, this mechanism right here, if for instance you put a flower petal right over the top of it, then as it opens, it's going to want to try and push your flower forward. So if you can straddle that between 2 petals, that's the best, or get it high enough that it's not an issue. You know, if you have a bigger card, you could just go higher with it and then you never have to worry about it. But see how that little thing right there, you kind of want that to come up in between 2 petals if you can. All right, so there's my first one. All right, so let's put this guy undecorated here. So this one's going to come down over here. It's still going to be the same surface that gets the adhesive. Okay, but see, it's coming down this way. So I'm going to try and do 2 straddling petals and see if I can keep it in the, oh, just barely, keeping it in the card. Okay, now I've got 2. All right, and then third one, going back to the first method, going to the right, kind of peeling back, making sure I've got 2 petals kind of straddling the mechanism, but wanting also to keep it in the card. So maybe it's going to be a little bit this way, rotated. Okay, there we go. So you see how tight it is with putting 3 of them in a slimline card. Now, could I move these closer together? Yeah, you can, but look, you don't have a lot of room. See how the flowers get close to each other? I mean, you don't want to get them so close that they're crashing into each other. So that spacing that I covered up was it seems to be a good spacing, which is 1.75 inches from here. This one's 4.5 inches from here. This is 1 inch from here. Okay, that seems to be a really good spacing on that one. All right, and then you have things to decorate it with. Oh, let's talk about the leaves. Okay, so you got to watch your leaf placement too, because you see, you got to think, you got lots of moving parts here. Okay, so you remember I put one of them like on the back right there. You can do that. But if you want to attach them to the leaf, I mean to the flowers, then just put them in a spot where it's going to come down and get hidden by the card. And that really makes a difference in the angle and stuff. So one thing you can do is take something like a temporary tape, you know, throw a piece of temporary tape behind your leaf, find a spot, and give it a try. See if that's a good spot before you commit, okay? So that way you can kind of figure out, let's find a spot where it doesn't work. See, way out of the card, okay? Or you can do that thing where you kind of close it and go, oh, all right, what angle can I put that leaf at, you know, and keep it in the card. So anyway, temporary tape can be your friend to deciding where your leaves can go. Then also think about catch points as you're decorating the base of the card, okay? Because you don't want your leaves or anything to, like for instance, if you're going to put leaves on there, then you probably don't want your daisy chain. You'll have to check it, but see, I would be worried that it would come down and the leaf would just scrape along those daisies unless you had it really, really well sealed down. But it seems to work well to go across this way. You know, it depends on how this petal is coming down, whether the petal's coming down close enough to the card to hit your daisies or not. So, you know, with this size slimline, you do not have a lot of room. You can see I put Miss You up there because that's the spot that's basically being missed by 2 flowers, and my spot to write my personal greeting down here because that's also being missed. So, you know, whereas right here would be a disaster area. You would not want to put anything right there if you were going to do leaves this way. So slimline card is really cool. It fills up the card. You get 3 of them, but you know, it's a little fussier on the placement because you've got so little room to hide it in the closed position. But it's really cool that you can fit all that in that slimline card. You can always go bigger with your card, you know, and then of course you can use your stuff everywhere. If you want a good add-on to this set in the same release is the Fun Flowers. Let me find it here. Okay. So this one is really kind of a companion die to go with the twist flower. I mean, you can buy it on your own. I mean, it's a wonderful little die, just a little decorator die that has, but it has kind of a smaller version of that stitched flower in 3 different sizes. It's got flower centers and stems. And if these flowers look a little familiar, this is the style of flower that's in our Upsy Daisy pop-up. And this is the style of flower and vine that's in our flip frame pop-up. So those 2 flowers out of those 2 pop-up dies, people really like those flowers. And so now if you own those 2 pop-up dies, you could get this set and you could cut your flowers a lot faster because you'll have more choices and more sizes because you only get 1 size in the Upsy Daisy. I think it's this small one. And now you get 2 bigger ones. And I think you only get a couple sizes in the flip frame. And now you've got a couple bigger ones. And then you get a smaller version of that same leaf that's in this one. So this leaf here is also in this one, and they go the opposite way. So this one, the bigger leaf out of the twist flower swoops to the left, and the one that's in the Fun Flower swoops to the right. And you can actually use those together. Hang on, I've got a card here to show, class card that I'm doing next month. Okay, where I actually combined the leaves out of the big one and the little one and made poinsettias out of it. So it makes a really lovely poinsettia flower. So then that's the big leaf in the back and then the small one from here in the center. So, and then there's the little vine that comes in. And then you can kind of take the daisies too, and you can cut 2 of them like I did them in red and green since this is a Christmas card, and then just offset them so that it makes kind of a fun Christmas flower that way. And you can see the same thing with the little small flowers out of the set, just, you know, rotated. The reason this one has a closure is because it has our little small band box in it to pop up the Merry Christmas. The Merry Christmas pops up on its own. Attach that little small band box. And then because of that, I have a closure on this one to keep it closed. Okay, so that is my quick, really quick assembly video for the twist flower pop-up. It is available now at a lot of your favorite local and online retailers and from our website, KarenBurniston.com. I will get you a more cool, formal assembly video when I get back from my trip. Thanks, everyone.